Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. We are getting close to the end of September, and as we get into October, we'll get back closer to earnings season. So right now, still a little ways off, but this coming week, there are a few bigger names and also a few names that are expected to be pretty volatile. So definitely a little bit busier than this past week, but also not busy per se. All right. So Monday before the open and after the close, actually nothing scheduled at all. Tuesday before the open, AutoZone. I mean, they're pricing in 67 to 70. I rarely trade this because option spreads are very, very, very wide. Like the bid-ask spreads. Also, there's not a lot of liquidity. I mean, you could potentially look at like an O'Reilly or an AAP, Advanced Auto Parts, as a sympathy trade candidate, but I feel like there's better retail names to focus on, so I don't think I'm gonna do anything with it. All right, Tuesday after the bell, Nike. So one of the big names next week. About 8 points is what they're expecting on this. This stock has really been impressive. It's continued to run regardless of what the market's doing. It pulled in a tiny bit, but really not much compared to what other names have. I mean, even like considering that Lulu has gotten absolutely crushed in the last like 2 weeks. I mean, Nike has literally not budged. Um, Expectations, though, are much higher this quarter, and the stock got hit hard in June. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell, right? So this was the day in June when it reported, and you wouldn't be able to tell based off what it's done like the last couple months. But I mean, the numbers really weren't that impressive at the end of June. The stock has just kept going up nonstop. So um, it's definitely a tougher setup to be bullish, in my opinion. I mean, unless it is an absolute blowout. I feel like this could trade lower, but that also could give a nice opportunity to step in for a swing trade. I'm pretty on the fence with it, just whether to put on a trade specifically for earnings. Um, so I guess it's going to be kind of a game time decision. I don't have like conviction with it, but it definitely is one of the big names next week. Also Tuesday after the close, Stitch Fix. So about 475 or so. That's what's expected. This hasn't had a crazy swing on earnings recently. Like a couple years ago or last year, it had some really monster moves. But it is, as you can see, hanging right underneath this resistance range, and it's very heavily shorted. So I feel like it's an interesting pattern for a volatility strategy. I haven't said that too often recently, but I feel like it kind of sets up well for a volatility strategy. But I do think we have to get risk down because 475. I mean, there have been quarters when it's moved more than that, but recently it hasn't been. So I think we'd have to get like the premium down on both ends. But definitely an interesting setup. ACB. So cannabis stocks have been just horrible for the last like 2 months. This is looking at about like $1.35 priced in for earnings. It's down close to down close to the May low. Um, you know, the good thing is that expectations are probably very low, and a decent print. Maybe you can get a rebound going. But it's just like, I mean, this is just steady selling, and it's just been tough money, very, very tough money. Um, so I feel like maybe it makes more sense to wait and see if the numbers are good, see if the stock reaction is good, because there could be a lot of room to run if it does start to turn the corner. But I mean, there's just been no life to this in weeks. So I think anything that I do with it would just kind of be speculative and probably low debit. Before they open on Wednesday, General Mills. So about 3.5 points is what's priced in here. The staples have really lost some momentum. This took a you could see like it took a real nice turn lower the last couple weeks. Still attempting to stabilize. Hasn't found a bottom just yet. Recent earnings reports haven't been too volatile either. So chart doesn't look too great. Hasn't been a big mover recently. Definitely hasn't been a consistent mover. Um, I feel like there's maybe better setups out there. This is one of the bigger names. Just like from a setup perspective, it doesn't seem all that interesting to me. Also Wednesday before the open, JKS, so solar name. About 425 is what's priced in. Those are monthly options though. Last of the solar names to report, right at the top of recent resistance, heavily shorted. Many of its peers had good numbers. Seems like a decent bullish setup, and that short interest might help it run ahead of time. Wednesday after the bell, nothing. Thursday before the open, Carmax. So about 7.5 points is what they're looking for here. Carvana, Vroom were all the rage last month, but Carmax was actually steadily moving up higher with those. It hasn't had as big of a retracement as those two either, and it's kind of close to its 52-week high. The biggest issue with this stock to me is the option pricing because it doesn't tend to move much on earnings, and it's just not a consistent mover either. So laying out like 7.5 seems tough. If I did anything, maybe be on the bullish just because the pattern seems pretty bullish and Carvana and Vroom had overall decent numbers. So it's just whether or not there's like enough room to like reward option players, right? Darden. So about 11.5 points. Those are monthly options. Is what's priced in. We've traded this one this year. Into earnings, I'd say the chart seems more bullish, but it's hard to reconcile that with the expected numbers because they're not. They're not. Well, at least they don't seem like they're going to be very good. Restaurant stocks. Kind of a tough group on earnings this quarter too. So even though I think this can move, I think waiting until after the print to see where it is, see what the option pricing is after the event too, just might be a smarter way to approach it. Also Thursday before the open, Rite Aid. So about 2.5 points. That's what's priced in on this. I messed up a trade on this last quarter. Sold ahead of earnings and it just exploded after right here. But I don't like to set up this much. I don't like it as much this time around. Walgreens, CVS really have not been in play. And this actually, you can maybe make the argument, it looks even a little bit more bearish at the moment. If I did anything, it might actually be like some puts or put spreads, but I'm not sure I'm going to do anything with it. And then Thursday after the close, Costco. So another big name, about 15.5 points. Is what's priced in. Definitely one of the best names in retail. They do give monthly comps though, and that removes a lot of the volatility around earnings. I imagine the numbers are good because those monthly comp numbers have been fantastic, but it's just hard to figure out if it's going to be any different than like Walmart, right? Like great numbers and the stock sold off. Costco's had great monthly comps. It's just, is it going to go up if they deliver a good report when everybody's expecting good numbers, and so it's kind of like a tough call whether like good numbers are going to get rewarded. But maybe what you could look at is see if it kind of rallies ahead of time, right? Because it has rolled over into some moving average support. Maybe it like gets a bounce ahead of time. And then last but not least, Thursday after the close is Vail. So about 20 to 21 points is what's priced in. Those are monthly options. This is just kind of a speculative idea for me. I thought with the year of COVID, people would be looking for outdoor activities in the winter, and skiing would be popular, right? Stock has rebounded a bit, but it's also really not done much for the past month. Again, it's only kind of like a concept trade for me, so if I did do anything, it would probably be smaller, maybe longer dated, but probably to the bull side. And that's it, because Friday before the open, there's nothing. All right, so busier than this past week, but also, we're not in the middle of earnings season, so you're not going to get like a ton of names every day. But there are some big names, there are some interesting names, so should be plenty going on. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on options trading or more information on earnings trading, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options and play. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay well, and I will talk to you on Monday.